The 13th century. The steppe breathes blood, dust, and horse sweat. You are not just a person, you are part of the most terrifying military machine in history, the army of Genghis Khan. Right now, you are going to feel what it's like to love, where only the law of iron and death rules. You wake up to the sharp sound of a strike against the dry earth. It's not an enemy, it's your deck-urion, banging on the felt of the yurt, demanding an immediate assembly. Your name is Kayadon, and fire and the dust of the steppe run through your veins. You are 22 years old, but your gaze is as old as these rocks. You are a noker, a rank-and-file warrior in the Tumon of Jebe Noyan. Your life is worth less than a good bow, but your pride is higher than the Altai Mountains. Every morning is a ritual of survival. You put on a deal, soaked in the salt of your sweat, and check your horse, your only true brother. Do you hear the neighing of thousands of throats around you? This is the Horde. It knows no mercy, it only knows movement to the west. You are used to the smell of death. It is everywhere, in the smoke of conflagrations, in the raw meat you place under your saddle so it softens by evening. You've seen empires crumble and kings weep, and it evoked nothing in you but a slight disdain. But one day, when your unit stopped to recount the livestock, you saw her. Her name was Olin. She wasn't a captive being dragged by her hair to a commander's tent. She was a daughter of the steppe, a woman from the supply train, who managed a massive cart on wheels, taller than a man. Do you see how confidently she holds the reins? Her face is weathered, tanned to a bronze shade, and her eyes are two black agates, with no fear in them. Only peace, and some kind of wild, unbreakable strength. Your first meeting was brief. Your horse brushed against one of the bags on her cart, and she, without hesitation, cursed you out so hard that even your experienced deck-urion fell silent for a moment. Feel that unexpected surge of warmth in your chest? You, who have killed men without a second thought, suddenly felt like a boy. Under her scornful gaze, it wasn't love at first sight in rosy tones. It was a punch to the gut. You began to look for her in this endless stream of people and animals. You made up excuses to ride near her cart, asked for an extra sip of water, even though your flask was full. You saw her occasionally smile secretly, watching your clumsy attempts to be near. But in the heart of an army, where every step is controlled by law, your feelings are a death sentence, wrapped in a silk of secrecy. Now, let's take a moment to look at the dry but brutal facts. You must understand where you are. The army of Genghis Khan isn't just a gathering of nomads, it is the most disciplined structure of its time. Here, the Great Yassa rules a code of laws where for 90% of offenses, there is only one punishment, death. What kind of relationships could exist in such a place? Firstly, a woman in Mongol society had significantly more rights than in China or Europe at that time. She was the foundation of the rear. While men were cutting down enemies, women managed the army's economy. They set up yurts, prepared food, distributed loot, and could even fight off marauders. But there was another side. Sexual relations outside of marriage were considered a crime against order. If Kayadon and Olin were caught alone, without official permission from the elders, they would simply be stoned to death, or have their spines broken, to avoid spilling blood into the earth as the law dictates. Genghis Khan believed that debauchery led to the split of the army. Every woman belonged to either a father, a husband, or was part of the military spoils. However, there was one loophole: a warrior's betrothal. If a warrior proved his bravery, he could ask for permission for a union. But for that, you had to survive. And not many survived. Furthermore, everyday life was so hard that romance was reduced to primitive things. There were no flowers. There were pieces of fat, warm clothes, and protection from the wind. Love in the steppe is collective survival and nothing more. A night. Under the walls of besieged Samarkand. The air is heavy with the stench of corpses and the smoke of siege engines, hurling fire projectiles. You stand on night watch at the edge of the camp. The cold pierces to the bone, and the exhaustion is such that you just want to collapse into the mud and never get up again. Suddenly, you hear a light rustle of footsteps. It's not an enemy spy, they don't smell of wormwood and melted butter. It's Olin. She is risking everything, just to stand next to you for 5 minutes, in the thick shadow of the forage carts. Feel her hand reaching out, to give you a small bundle. It's dried curd, a salty cheese, hard as a stone. For her, it's part of her daily ration. For you, it's the most delicious meal in the world. You don't say thank you. In this world, words are empty. You just take her hand. Her palms are rough, calloused from the rope she uses to tie the loads. You touch her cheek, and for a moment, the war disappears. There is no Khan, no siege, no thousands of dead behind the city walls. There is only her breath, turning into steam in the cold air. This is your date. No restaurants, only the fear of being caught, and a brief moment of warmth, before she dissolves into the darkness. The next day, the sky was covered with clouds of arrows. The great assault began. You run in the first wave, holding a heavy ladder. It's suicide, and you know it. Vats of boiling oil are on the walls, and enemy archers are shooting almost at point blank range. At some point, you feel a sharp push in your chest. You look down, and see the fletching of an arrow, sticking out from under your armor. The pain doesn't come immediately. At first, it's just cold. You fall to your knees, and the world around you begins to spin, like a crazy carousel. You see your comrades running past you, a tower collapsing. And suddenly, silence. You wake up, to agonizing pain. It feels like your chest has been stuffed, with glowing hot stones. You are not in heaven, or the Hall of Ancestors. You are in a smoky yurt infirmary. Olin is sitting nearby. Her face is pale, with deep shadows under her eyes. She found you, among the thousands of bodies lying under the walls. She had no right to take you to her. She should have left you to the care of the shaman healers, but she simply loaded your bloody frame onto her cart, and hid you under piles of wool. She herself pulled out the barbed arrow. She filled the wound with ash, and cauterized it, while you were unconscious. Now you see something in her eyes you've never seen before, despair and tenderness, at the same time. This was your happy ending, Kaadon. You survived, but the arrow damaged your lung. You can no longer charge into an attack first. You are no longer the perfect instrument of war. Now you limp, and gasp for breath from walking fast. Your deck Urion crossed you off the lists of combat units, and transferred you to the rear service. This is a disgrace for a warrior, but a salvation for a man. You stayed with Olin. Now, you lead her cart together. Your love is helping her hitch the oxen. It's being silent together during the long evenings, as the Horde moves further, leaving only ash behind. You didn't become rich. You have no golden cups, or silk tents. Your happiness is that you both breathe. You see your children growing up in the dust of the marches, learning to shoot a bow, before they even begin to walk steadily. You look at Olin, and you realize, she is your only true victory, in this senseless war for the world. You are 2 grains of sand in the vast steppe, who, despite the laws, the wars, and death itself, managed to stay together. It was a crude, painful, and nearly impossible love. But it was exactly what gave you the strength, to go through hell, and remain human, where being human was forbidden.